Fit people and dogs.
Yes. My mother has surprised me.
Well, the bus was late, so
Yeah.
I got here a little late,
Yeah.
you know. The 104 Broadway, it just wasn't running on time. I don't know why.
There you go. Enough-ish. Ish-ish.
Ish-ish.
Ish-ish. Right.
So
Hello,
hi everybody.
Yeah.
So what's new?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's new, huh?
How you doing?
Que pasa?
Oh, it's
Believe.
back in the show. Yes.
It's backwards, but it is.
Oh. Yeah.
Give it a second. Give it a second. Well, don't waste it yet.
No.
Just wait till everybody joins us.
Okay.
Give them a minute. Say hello.
Hello.
Be nice.
Hello.
Be nice to the nice people. Or sit in complete silence. Totally
Wait,
up to
no.
you.
What is that?
No.
Winchell is help.
I never get used to the fact that when you push that button, we're on.
I know.
And I know you know.
Over a year into it.
I know.
It's almost as if you haven't been on television for 40-something years.
I don't know how I put up with both of them, frankly.
Mm-mm.
Always complain, you know.
I know. We're trying to get Alice in. I know. She didn't. I'm telling you. She didn't tell me. And now I'm trying to fit her in.
And
Doing my
I
best.
didn't pass on.
Doing my
Another
best.
thing
I
that-
promise.
It's always your fault.
I
honey.
promise,
Always
I
remember that.
promise.
Whatever happens.
Greetings
No, no.
to the Maltin
What
family.
did we
Hello.
what did we learn long ago?
Yes.
It's not enough
No.
that you are right,
It's that.
It's
but that I am wrong.
That's
is
the
correct.
most. If you want to understand
If
marriage,
you want a happy marriage,
that right there
follow that.
will tell you
Okay.
everything you need to know. It is not enough.
It's not.
Not enough.
Nope.
No,
Nope, nope,
never that. Now we're actually in the middle. We were in the middle of watching. I say we. I was in the middle with my husband of watching the England game, and it's gone over. So now
Who are they playing, sweetheart?
Italy. But this is the bit like if they win, they win.
Whoa.
So it's a big deal.
Whoa.
My husband was just Zooming with two of his best friends in England, and now they've gone downstairs, which is great to finish
You've taken their
watching.
space.
You've stolen it, but
Well, too bad.
yes, so
You know,
I'm
you know,
anxious to see who wins because if it is in fact England, we have a lot of friends and family who are going to be very,
Very
very
happy.
happy. So
Very happy.
waiting
indeed.
on that, we'll see. We will see.
And probably not sober.
Oh no,
At a certain point, definitely.
Well, the game
not.
started at. They started broadcasting some of it at 11:30, but it really started at 12. So everyone I know started drinking at 12 here in the UK,
Oh, man.
8 hours ahead. But yeah, and the
Man.
pub. So we have a local pub right near us where we basically live.
Where everybody does know your name.
Everybody does
It's
know us.
quite wonderful.
My
Yeah.
husband, I always say my husband should just get his mail delivered straight there. 'cause
Yeah.
it's where he is
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And the pub had to have security in the front and the back, and there were queues all the way
Oh,
around.
my God.
Wow.
Which they knew. My husband was gonna try to go to the pub today and gave up because it's just absolute madness. So yeah, a little.
I think that's great. I love that.
I think it's a blast. I mean,
You know,
that's
I
the
think
thing.
Tradition.
Yeah.
The other thing that's
exactly.
funny is actually because we've moved down with my mom, you're now seeing the part of the bar that belongs to my husband, which is where the actual alcohol is.
That's right.
And-
Normally, you just see tchotchkes.
And it looks like my hair is very, very funny with the white thing on top.
That's right.
Because that is the
What is that?
plush toy of Pudgy.
Oh, Pudgy.
It's pudgy.
Oh, Pudgy.
Yeah.
It's pudgy.
It's Betty Boop's dog, Pudgy.
Who
This
doesn't love
is how you humiliate a distinguished film critic. Okay.
Hang on. What is going on? I
We don't have
swear.
enough dogs around.
I know, right? Technology, some days, my friends, it is just one of those. Again, I blame the football, soccer, for taking everything over, but it is hilarious. The talking to all of our friends today who are all very happily in pubs and running around, it's hilarious. As I say, it's a huge deal. It is a huge deal. England, for the first time since 1965, I want to say 1966, something like that. So it's a huge deal. It is in fact a huge deal. Scott even got a shirt. My husband even got an England shirt.
Wow.
So go husband.
And go
Anyway,
England.
yeah, go England. Exactly. As I say, we'll see.
Exciting.
We'll see who wins. See if I can hear shouting from downstairs or not. Hi, Allie. Hi, Allie. Hi, friend. Let me look at some of your hello, everybody. Hello to Illinois and all the other places. Happy Sunday, Mazel Tov. Thank you very much. Yes, we have
That's
a bit
topic
of
A.
a bit of happy news
Very happy news.
for us. So yeah, I'm pregnant, and I am I am pregnant. I am 5-ish months pregnant, and it's been really, really strange not talking about it. But because
she's special.
Because I'm special. Well, I talked a bit about a little while ago. I had IVF. I had a lot of health issues, which you heard me talk about a bit. So we always knew it was going to be something that would be difficult.
Considered a high risk pregnancy.
Yeah. I'm a very high risk human being.
Yeah.
My doctors, I live in doctors' offices. So becoming a pregnant person makes me a very high risk pregnant human being. So it was something that, they sort of, it's a weird one because they kind of tell you, don't tell people because, you might not, the baby might not make it, all that kind of stuff. And so we waited a really long time, and only close friends sort of knew what was going on. But finally, it's been long enough. I just feel like,
she had a very good test, and even the doctor doing the test said, wow, this is better than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Jonathan says, Jesse, don't tell anybody. It's a bit late, my friend. I have told. But, but this is what I said when I made my little announcement on Friday is I feel like, is it possible that, she may not be here? It's a girl, by the way. Is it possible that she may not be here? Yes. Could I lose the baby? Of course you can, and you can lose them anytime. At this point, I'm 22 weeks, and
which is in itself a miracle.
Which is a miracle by itself. But it's like, you have to enjoy it.
Yep.
And that's how I feel. And being that I am a miracle baby myself, and my parents had such a hard time having me. Yeah. Leonard couldn't get pregnant for years. Didn't understand why.
He tried. I give him credit. He tried.
You did. You gave it your all, and I appreciate that. But yeah, because I'm a miracle baby myself, I know how difficult it was, and still is for my mom, especially.
Yes, I'm having this pregnancy myself.
We're all pregnant in this house.
I just had I had such difficult moments at different times, many miscarriages, and the sadness that follows that. Yeah. But you know what? This kid has spirit. I don't know, baby, I don't know where it came from, but you are amazing. Amazing. Really.
Thank you, Mama. But I'm very lucky. I have a lot of support, obviously, and amazing friends. So I'm very, very lucky. I'm very, very grateful. So that's sort of the big news here. My favorite thing is people saying, what did your parents say? As if they haven't known the whole time. Like as if I just told, I surprised you guys. Shocked. By the way.
I was shocked.
No, we've all known. So yeah, it's really, as I say, it's really exciting, and we're all really happy. And when the day comes, we are going to, we haven't started buying stuff yet, but when that happens,
holding off.
It's going to be violent.
Oh yeah.
It's the only way I can describe it to you. Yeah. It's going to be
those, those scenes of when they let down the barricades at the department store.
Oh yeah. That's me and my
Friday.
Mom.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad.
Or Les Mis when the barracks go down. Yeah.
No, whatever way we turn it, it's going to be a mess. And I can't wait. And you and Scott should just get out now.
That's right.
You guys should just, the boys should just leave.
Yeah.
You take Scott out of here.
I happily surrender.
Yes. Well, what he said to Scott in the car the other day, he goes, just prepare, Scott. Just prepare. It's going to be a lot. So yeah.
And anyway. I tell Jesse, sleep now.
That's all I do. All I do is sleep. I sleep and I eat. This is the extent of my life right now. But you know what? That's okay. I just keep saying whatever she wants, she'll get. So if she wants me to sleep all the time, I will sleep all the time. That's fine with me. Anyway, so yeah, as I say, that's been a big thing around here, and it's really exciting to finally share it because I feel like I can celebrate. And again, whatever happens, but it's nice to be able. It's nice to be able to celebrate.
And you've earned this. You deserve
Goddamn right.
You deserve this, honey. You deserve the happiness you're enjoying.
He's going to be a terrific mother. He's going to be a terrific father.
I can't even think about my husband.
If we can get him out of the
because I'll just cry. No, we keep joking. The baby's just going to be born in the pub. That's what's going to happen. We're just going to have the baby in the pub. It makes the most sense. It's fastest. It's right nearby. And yes, as I say, the idea of these two as grandparents, like the cute is overwhelming. The cuteness is already overwhelming. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll have to fight to get the baby back. Is the problem.
It's pretty much. Yeah.
But yeah. So we'll see. But yes, and a lot of other people have reached out who are also very high risk, who also had a lot of issues getting pregnant, and that is why I always say, if you need to talk, if you need someone to talk to, again, the reason I've mentioned before that I've had IVF. It's also why I talk about all my health problems, is because if you don't have a support group, people that you can talk to about this, it's lonely, and you can feel very much alone in it, and you shouldn't, because it is incredibly common, which is sad, but is just true. Fertility is an issue a lot of women deal with.
1 in 4 miscarry. I think that's what
1 in every 4 women miscarry.
Yeah.
So why don't you hear about it more? Because so many of those women go on to have successful full-term pregnancies. Yeah. And then once you have a child, there's no reason to talk about it. It's how most people feel.
Yeah.
When we had our first miscarriage, which was fairly early in that pregnancy, Alice was just despondent, and I was too, of course. But she started talking to cousins.
My friends came forward
and everybody goes, I had a miscarriage.
I said, how many years I know you, and I'm just finding this out.
I had IVF. I had this. I had that. So again, if
IVF was not that common.
Well, no, I'm saying for me, that's a big one.
As
soon as I started talking about it with people, they went, oh, I had to do this. Oh, I had to do that. And so again, please don't feel, don't ever feel alone in it. You're definitely not. And it is incredibly common. I think the most interesting part for us about going to the different places I did, and specifically the fertility doctor that I saw regularly for several months,
who was wonderful.
He was amazing. But, is that you see people in there of all ages and all sizes and shapes. And it's not like, I don't think it's what anyone would expect. It's everyone. Mm-hmm. It's everyone. So yeah, that's, as I say, that's been a big part of what's going on here. And also why I've not been as responsive on social media, because all I do is sleep. All I do right now is sleep.
She's sleeping.
A few people are suggesting names.
Claudius.
One just said, name after your favorite little rascal. I'm still surprised, honestly, that I'm not named Spanky or something absolutely.
It was tempting.
Somebody said we should name her Rosebud.
Darla.
Could have named you. Could have named me Darla. Yeah. Rosebud. No, there's so many options. There's so many options, and I am shocked that I ended up with a not just normal but ridiculously popular name. Jessica in the 80s. Yep. You're so creative, you two. Of all the names.
I didn't know until the year's end that was the most popular name in 1986. Sue me.
Jessica and Jennifer.
Sue me. Okay?
What even am I supposed to do with you two?
Suffer.
All the options. Orson. Could have been Orson. Hitch Maltin. It has a nice ring. It does. It does. Mm-hmm. You just, you just go with it. We'll find something. We'll find something that'll something. Let's see. What would be something ridiculously movie related?
I think Orson comes close.
Yeah, Godzilla. And my married name is Hadfield, so Godzilla Hadfield.
I don't like that.
No, Godzilla Hadfield doesn't work for you.
I don't like
All right, not Godzilla Hadfield. Note to self. Buster Hadfield. Yes. Well, there you go.
It's pretty good.
That's things to not name your child. A few people saying condolences over Richard Donner, and then some have listened to the podcast episode and really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening. That was such an incredibly cool day. And I'll tell you, part of it is that when he came in, he wasn't uncomfortable.
No.
But I think that he's used to talking about sort of the same,
He gets a lot of questions about the Goonies.
And Lethal Weapon. And when he sat down with us and my dad is saying, Perry Mason, Gilligan's Island, it's getting into stuff like that. And he just, what you watched him do was he sort of was sitting back initially. And then as it went on, he kept moving forward. And by the end of the conversation, he was laughing and smiling. And he said to his assistant, is that who told you?
Yeah.
To tell my dad that he had a wonderful time, which is so nice.
Which is so nice to hear.
You know?
So great. He also admitted, not that I was probing for it or we were probing for it, that he was actually high while directing a number of his films.
Which I think makes a lot of sense. I don't think anyone hears that and goes, no way.
Should we try that for a podcast?
We'll call Doug Benson. We'll call Doug Benson ask Doug.
Hey, Doug, can you share some things? Yeah.
Richard Donner directed Gilligan's Island. Yeah, he directed a number of those shows.
Of episodic television.
Lots and lots of
episodic TV.
And it is really interesting. And that's the thing, is that there are
He did one of the most famous Twilight Zone episodes, one with William Shatner looking out on the wing of an airplane.
Oh, God, yes.
And seeing a creature there.
Which showed up when they did the movie.
When they remade it in the newer Twilight Zone movie.
Yeah.
So there's a lot in there. You know, there's a number of directors from a certain time where that is just like today. They worked on all of the popular shows, so they have experience with all of those shows, which is really cool. And yeah, as you say, you know, he doesn't get asked about that.
No.
And so he was really excited to talk about it.
And we ran out of time, or else we would have been talking about Kojak.
Yeah. Can you imagine? That's part of it is when you speak to people who have these incredibly long careers and they've done so much, you don't always know what they're going to respond to.
Yeah.
Something that could seem, when we got to interview Al Pacino, which was surreal. Imagine being in this tiny Leonard.
And plus we were recording at that time.
Yeah,
at
a comic book store.
Meltdown Comics on Sunset, a big comic book store. So the setting was pretty surreal.
We're in this tiny little black box upstairs, and sitting there with Al Pacino for an hour and a half. It was absolutely surreal. But we didn't. I think without sort of talking about it, we didn't. We knew we weren't going to start off by going, "So, Godfather,"
especially because he was promoting a documentary that he had done.
A documentary and movie.
Yes. The documentary being about Oscar Wilde and the movie being
his version of Salome.
His stage production, a film version of his stage production of Salome. And it was called Wilde Salome.
The documentary was.
Yes. And we want to be sure that we kept our end of the bargain.
Yeah.
We, agreed to have him on to talk about that. And we did. And he's very passionate about that project and about Oscar Wilde in general. So we wouldn't have even touched on a number of his classic films, but he did.
He did. And he starts talking about it and you're going, okay, I'm not going to, are you going to stop him? I'm not going to stop him. This is thrilling. So that, again, you just never, ever know what is going to catch somebody, which is also why, when you do your research, and this has been true for all the interviewing you've been doing for years, you try to find the movies that are smaller.
Yeah.
You try to find something that might strike a chord.
And sometimes it fails. Sometimes doing that doesn't pay off.
Yeah.
I bend myself into a pretzel to try to find something offbeat and quirky, when in fact I would have gotten or do get the best result by asking something straight down the middle.
Yeah, you just never know. You never ever know what is going to mean something to someone.
Which is a lesson I sort of learned, but sometimes forget, from the late Larry King. Larry King, who boasted that he did no prep.
Yeah.
For his interviews, even though sometimes it was painfully obvious. Especially when he had this weekend show, remember? Late night Saturday. And he would say, he had Michael Crawford on, and Alice became a Michael Crawford devotee from seeing Phantom of the Opera more than once.
5 times?
And
we won't discuss that.
5 times, I believe.
And
maybe 5 times,
Larry obviously had no idea what Michael Crawford's background was. So he just said to him, So how'd you get started in the business? What was your first break? What was the first great part you got? And Michael Crawford, rather than taking offense, as a number of actors with healthy egos would do, he just answered.
Went right into it, yeah.
And it was interesting. It was a great interview. So
other times, him not knowing at all was just awkward. Other times, him not knowing even a little bit was just awkward. And the person's going, do you know why I'm here? Very funny. Please tell me what you think about The Loud House.
You mean the Loud Family?
Yeah, like The Louds?
The Loud Family on PBS. That was the precursor of all reality television.
All reality. Yeah. And a few years ago, they did a docudrama.
Yes.
A friend of mine was in it, actually.
Yeah.
They did a docudrama about it, which was really interesting.
I actually didn't watch. We didn't watch it.
No, we did, but I watched it. I did.
Okay.
Yes. It was fascinating because you were seeing this family, this upper class family in Northern California, sort of just falling apart. And
but I'll tell you what I did see. I did see Albert Brooks' response.
Oh God, yes.
The feature film Real Life, his first feature comedy. And if you don't have to have seen The Loud Family or know anything about it to appreciate Real Life. Well, we're suckers for Albert Brooks. He makes us laugh before he even says anything.
You just see his face and you crack up.
And but this feature film was just a gem.
Yeah,
very
very perfect,
organically funny.
You know, which and then we had reality TV.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Anyway,
or better or worse, for better or worse.
But that's part of what is interesting, though, with things like that, when something is a first. And reality television, if you watch original reality television, even something like The Real World, like the first couple of seasons of that, it could be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could be interesting sort of experiencing that for the first time. Now it's just a catastrophe. But, you know, initially and before it sort of became what it is now, it could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And people weren't aware. That I think is the biggest thing always, isn't it?
And I don't think money was involved either.
Not money like this.
Yeah.
Not
now
money like this
people who do reality, I mean,
you can do very well for
money.
Yeah.
You know, those Jersey Shore people.
Well, that's a whole other monster.
You know, you wouldn't want to spend time. No, I shouldn't say that. That's wrong.
No.
When they were younger, now that they're mature and they have families.
Yeah.
But, you know.
And considering that all my friends worked on those shows, I can tell you that I can say actually happily, for the most part, that a lot of the Jersey Shore people were very nice to work with, even then. So at least that. We try to find the positive, right? You try to find the positive in that. A number of those people on those shows were quite well behaved to the crew. In general life, kablooey, but to the crew, and that's all I care about, because as long as you're nice to my friends, that's all I care about. Let's see. Will the out-of-print popular science short films by Paramount from the 1930s to 1948 be re-released on DVD again? I don't know.
I don't know. The fact that they are not available now is not a good sign.
Yeah.
They must not have sold spectacularly well.
Yeah.
Or somebody would have grabbed them.
But they are always looking for content, so who knows?
That word. Word.
That's what it's all about.
I know.
You know, I mean, I don't like it either. I'm a fan. I don't think of what I see as content, but I'm very alone on that one. Yeah.
It is it's this whole thing of content.
Well, I used to write books.
Yeah.
Now I produce content.
Right. I don't like it.
First we produced Jesse, and now we produce content.
Exactly. Did you bring your book?
I did. I didn't want to steal your thunder with your announcement.
So my dad's also giving birth. Not too far from the time that I would be giving birth. And you guys, we told you a bit about this.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But my dad will have a new book coming out in October. You can pre-order it now. And actually,
wait till the last.
Yeah,
minute.
right.
You can do it from Amazon.
But if you that week, please.
We have a better deal.
No. Larry Edmonds which is a famous bookstore here in Hollywood.
Larry Edmunds Bookshop, to be specific.
They, Jeff, the guy who runs the place, does it truly out of love. He does a lot of book signings he just had George Chakiris, which was really cool. But he's the guy who, this is his passion. It is his joy.
And it really is his passion.
Yeah. Larry Edmunds has been there since 1930 something.
Yeah, you don't make money from this.
No.
You really don't. You're lucky if you stay in business.
Yeah. You don't have a bookstore because you want to be wealthy. But
it was one of the first places I went, like the siren song calling me from the other coast when I made my first trip to Hollywood in 1968 or 69. Going to Larry Edmunds Bookshop.
Mm-hmm. And my dad is going to write a little piece about this, so it'll be an easier link to find. But basically, we talked to Larry, and this is true in general, you can go onto their website and order books anytime, and you're supporting a real bookstore and a real brick and mortar bookstore in a real place,
and it needs
good
to be
people.
Supported, yes.
The fact they survived the pandemic really is because of all of their fans. They did a GoFundMe, and that helped immensely. Careful not to kick the table.
Yes.
So what we agreed to, in hopes to help out the bookstore as well, is you can pre-order my dad's book there and get a signed copy. So that is
signed by
these hands, right?
That's a scary thought, isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, as I say, my dad is supposed to write something up for me. Yep. That'll go onto the website.
This is the book.
This is the book. It will be hardcover and paperback.
And it's being published by Good Night Books. That's Good Night with a K.
I say Good Knight.
Good Knight.
Good Knight. And they're the folks that published his last book, Hooked on Hollywood. So this one, don't put it down yet. It's too exciting. This one, which I love the cover. It's called Starstruck, My Unlikely Road to Hollywood. And you can see this one says uncorrected proof. This is not the done deal yet. But it's something that my mom and I are always sort of reminding my dad that what he loves most is writing. And so especially through the pandemic, that has been really fun for you.
Yes. Not only fun, but therapeutic.
Yeah. And you really, we wanted to, I've always wanted my dad to write a memoir because he has so many interesting stories. But he has a hard time sort of coming at things from a let's talk about me standpoint. It's just his nature.
He's a journalist.
Yeah.
And the story is not about him.
Yeah.
The story is about whoever it is he's talking to.
And so we said, well, then another way to do this would be to tell those stories. And that's what he's done. So he's sort of gathered up his favorite stories and experiences.
A big bunch of anecdotes.
Yeah. Someone just asked if you have any cool stories about Entertainment Tonight. That's in there too. Yeah. Many, many, many experiences. What you have to remember with ET is that it was the first entertainment news.
And it was really
network.
Entertainment news.
Yeah.
It wasn't, what the Kardashians are doing now.
Well.
And people watched it for the entertainment news aspect of it.
And it broke new ground on a number of scores. One being that not everybody liked, reporting box office figures.
Mm-hmm.
No one cared about box office figures before that. And they shouldn't really care today, but they do, because ET drove that home.
Yeah.
And someone else wrote an article about us saying ET enabled people to tell the difference between a model and a supermodel. And useful things.
It also got them in trouble because they used to say happy birthday so-and-so and they would
God,
yes.
Oh, yeah.
And remember, that was early. And people did not like having their ages. Because remember, IMDb was not a thing.
Nope.
So a lot of actors and actresses, and to this day, would really rather you not know.
And when Leonard would see them, they would say, get that changed.
Right.
I'm not so-and-so.
I'm going to tell this story because everybody involved, except me,
is no longer around.
Is 6 feet under.
Yes.
And at peace, we hope. I got the home phone number for Tony Martin, the singer, sometimes actor, because I was finishing my book about old time radio, the Great American Broadcast. And I called. And,
someone's saying, I was surprised when I visited the set and found out you weren't really sitting in a theater.
Yeah.
In the early days of ET, my dad was sitting
surprise.
in what looked like a little theater.
Yeah.
Go on.
So a woman picked up the phone, and I said, it's obviously Mrs. Martin, Sid Charisse. And I said, hello, may I speak to Mr. Martin, please? And she said, who's calling? I said, Leonard Maltin from Entertainment Tonight. She said, without missing a beat, I am not 70 years old. I am 69. I will show you my driver's license. I will. And she went on at some length because she was,
not happy.
Not happy.
Not happy.
And
and still beautiful, by the
yeah.
way. I mean,
and in a business where ageism is a real fact of life.
Yeah.
A lot of people were not happy.
Yeah.
So,
but they had no one to vent that frustration to.
Until you called
it to him.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all kinds of different stories and his experiences, and yeah, my mom and I think have heard every version of the book. He's added some to it, and yeah, October is when it's out. But again, if you would like to support a real bookstore and a great bookstore, you can order from Larry Edmonds and get a signed copy. So, and someone asked if we would be having a book signing. It's hard for several reasons. The first being that I will be having a baby at some point, either in October or November.
That's really inconsiderate of you, Jessie.
I know. My doctors are not sure yet how that'll all work out, but it will either be in October or November.
Which will interfere.
With my
book promotion.
Coming out. It's just,
not Festival.
Yeah, selfish.
Not cool. So that's part one. Part two is we are all still living in COVID world. And while we hope that by October it will not be this, at the same time, everyone wants to be safe and careful. So fingers crossed, yes, we will have a book signing. If not, when the book comes out in October, thank you. You could have the book signing at the hospital. That is true.
That's true.
That is true.
Why not?
And I like the way you think.
Why
I really
not?
do. It's an option. Let's put it that way. It's an option. But can you imagine? But yeah, if the book signing doesn't happen in October, then we've spoken to several friends who we normally do this sort of stuff with, and it would probably be December or so. But either way, you will know about it, and we'll figure it out.
Sometime between the book's official publication date and Hanukkah.
Yes.
There will be a book signing.
Because Hanukkah Harry wants to give you this book.
Right.
And also maybe Santa. Yeah. We don't have a relationship with Santa, but if we did, we would ask him to give you this book.
Old Saint Nick is going to love this book.
That's right.
He's going to
We are huge with Santa Claus. Let me pull up some questions.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's usually what I
throw my phone at you. Well, I got excited because Veronica texted me, and I'm thinking maybe she's going to say who won. No, not yet. For crying out loud. Listen, England, I need to know if you won or not. The final goes into extra time. Oh, for crying out loud. It's still not over yet. The game is still not over yet, you guys. Okay.
What's the score?
It's still 1-1.
Oh my
God.
England
scored almost immediately. And then didn't score again, and then Italy scored. And anyway, this is not sorry to say. I'm just excited. Pulling up some questions from you, our friends, and they say, "Congratulations to Jesse. Thank you so much. With his birthday having been a few days ago, I'm interested to know if you ever met Tom Hanks, and if yes, what some of your favorite memories with him are." One of the nicest humans that exists.
Yeah. That's not just
he's a very patient man.
That's not just a bland, cliche about one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. He is.
If he's pretending, he's doing a great job.
He's not just nice. He's professional.
Right. He knows.
And if you're there to do an interview, he understands what you need, what you want to get for that interview, and what he's promoting. And but he said the nicest thing to me one year when I was at the Academy Oscar nominee luncheon, and I'd met him several times before this, and we were just making small talk. And I said, "Well, I'm just here on a pass. You know, I get lucky enough to be invited to this." And he said, "No. You're a member of this community."
Thanks, Tom Hanks.
Thanks, Tom Hanks. That was just such a nice thing to say.
Very decent man.
The first time that I got to meet him, I told him how much I love that thing you do. And to which he responded, "I have 7,000 cassettes in my garage and I will send them to you." To which I said to my dad, "I will take Tom Hanks's 7,000 VHS copies of that thing you do." Genuinely, he is the nicest man.
Consistently, too.
Yeah. And that performance he gave in News of the World just last year,
I don't know why,
is exceptional. And the film is exceptional. And if you haven't seen it, it's one of the best films of the past year. Understanding that the past year was unusual,
yeah,
and that the output was not normal, but that doesn't take away from how good the film is. Directed by Paul Greengrass, who also co-wrote the adaptation of the best-selling book.
Cinematography,
really, really good.
Yeah,
great.
Jen, it's not a lamp; it's just a giant ice cream cone. It doesn't do anything interesting. It's just a giant ice cream cone.
Yep.
That's all it does.
We're kind of
That's all it is.
Yeah?
Won't I hear Scott screaming if they win? In theory, yes. In theory, I will hear my husband screaming. Fingers crossed.
But he's British. You never know.
Oh, when it comes to stuff
take
like
it
this,
quietly. We don't.
Lies. Well, if they lose, it'll be very quiet. If they lose, we'll hear nothing. Amy says, "Hello, Maltins." Hi, Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Who is your favorite cartoon villain? See, I always post a GIF when we do this, and so I had Gossamer this time.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a very interesting question.
Yes. Yes. Well, it's Bill said, "Are monsters interesting people? Monsters leave such interesting lives."
Well, it depends on who you consider a villain. I mean, is Wile E. Coyote a villain?
Yes, he is.
He's an adversary.
He destroys everything.
He's an adversary.
It's still not done yet, right?
No.
Oh, he's up here to get beer.
Oh, God.
It all makes sense. Will you just show off your shirt? Come on, you. Just show off your England shirt. There he is.
There you go.
There
you go.
Thank you, honey.
For the mother country.
Thank you, honey.
See, she really has a husband.
I do. He does exist.
Really does.
He's real. He's very
and
real.
Adorable.
And adorable. He is
adorable. And adorable. Yes.
I mean, is Elmer Fudd a villain?
No.
Elmer is misunderstood. He's a good man. He's a good man.
I'm trying to think of another really good. I mean, I think it depends on what you like. I find Cruella de Vil terrifying. So I suppose that's a good villain. But she's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think really, Henrik? You think Yosemite Sam's a villain? I don't know.
Well, he is.
I guess
by definition.
Yeah.
By dictionary definition.
Yeah. I don't know.
Relatively small.
I don't know that I have one.
To be a villain.
What suggestions do you have for theaters reinventing themselves in the wake of the pandemic? I like the idea of smaller theaters with ambiance, not just gigantic couches, but places to drink coffee and enjoy a film with a targeted audience.
Well, what a lot of the smaller offbeat theaters are doing is becoming nonprofit corporations, and
which they were before anyway.
Yeah, right. They've always been nonprofit.
Yeah, and this is a way of shoring up all of your reserves against the profit and loss nature of the movie business.
Yeah,
you don't know what film is going to do business, is going to attract an audience, get you a crowd or not. So going nonprofit has many benefits.
Yeah.
Many advantages.
So places like Vidiots, which will hopefully be opening in the next year or so, and they're fantastic. They work so hard. A number of spots like that. If you live in LA, you may have heard that Quentin Tarantino just purchased the Vista, which is a great single screen theater here.
And he'll keep it that way. And he will only show film.
Yeah.
He will not show digital.
He also purchased the New Beverly, which is another theater that's quite similar. So, fingers crossed that the smaller ones continue to either be rescued, or if they are run by just normal people who love what they do, then yeah, it is nice to have a space that feels welcoming.
Yep.
We just went to AMC to see Black Widow. That is not a place you hang out. Mind you, it's like, it was fine. It was good. We got to see the movie, and
Jesse picked this auditorium at the AMC 16 in Burbank because it had the recliner seats, and not only would that make it comfortable, but also theoretically
it adds a bit more space between humans.
A bit more space between you and the next customer, except for my neighbor,
who
showed up just before the movie started and resembled Andre the Giant.
Yes,
and he bulged.
Always fun to watch a movie.
Not ideal.
Always.
Linda, any thoughts on the Cinerama Dome? So here's the thing. So if you, again, this is an LA thing, but is the case for many theaters at this point that are struggling. The ArcLight chain here is very well known for sort of being the nice movie theater, the cinephiles movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
And their Hollywood location specifically is used 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Cass, is that really you? Cass Warner just joined on Instagram.
Oh my God, Cass!
Is that really you, Cass?
I've been trying to find you.
We've been trying to talk.
Where the heck you been?
We miss you, and we love you, and we would love to see you.
Are you back from Ireland?
I don't. So
just tell me.
Yelling at the screen, Cass. Anyway, so the ArcLight in Hollywood is famous.
Yeah.
And it is attached
all of these theaters, including the landmark small L Cinerama Dome, were owned and operated by Pacific Theaters, and they are apparently
going under.
And so every location has a different lease agreement with the landlord and has a different situation. Regal Theaters has apparently purchased the Sherman Oaks ArcLight Theater, right near us, and is spending $10 million to redo it.
Not sure why.
Which makes no sense, because
they're gonna make the seats go like this.
Which we all really need.
Some kind of Marvel film.
But at least it'll still be there operating as a theater. That's the good news.
That's our favorite local to go to.
And apparently the ArcLight and the Dome are going to be okay.
They're going to be okay. And I sort of, again, if you live here, you sort of knew that they were going to be okay, because they are so, specifically, again, the Hollywood location and Cinerama Dome are so popular. And
also iconic.
They're used professionally all the time for premieres, everything. So I was less worried about that location.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently now, though, several people have gotten together to purchase in Hollywood. So I think that it'll be okay.
The story changes on an almost daily basis.
Like anything else.
But it has a national landmark status.
No, not national.
It has some kind of a status, but
it's a status. It's a status that doesn't have teeth.
Yeah.
Can't keep it from being torn down.
Any news on the silent movie theater on Fairfax? They're functioning, aren't they?
Somebody told me they were functioning.
Yeah, I think they're up and moving.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're so spoiled living here because we have so many little theaters and art houses. And
my first and second trips to Hollywood, I went to the silent movie theater under its original management, John Hampton and his wife, and this was their baby, which they opened, I think, in the early 40s, something like that. And it was made use of his private film collection. And he had unique prints of 16 millimeter and 35 millimeter of shorts and features. It was tremendously uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You had to pay a price physically.
Also, you had to find a parking spot.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole other.
Anyway.
That's a whole other thing. I'm trying to learn to appreciate Kurosawa because I trust there's genius there, but I don't know how to start getting more out of his stuff. I've seen a few. I just don't know how to read lighting, composition, framing so that I can digest his and other films with greater enjoyment. Well, this is the tricky part of anyone being iconic, legendary, being a part of a list where people tell you this is one of the greatest directors ever.
You don't have a chance. You don't have a chance of discovering him on your own,
mm-hmm.
and making that discovery and having that sense of wonder and triumph. Hey, wow! I just saw this movie.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this movie? This is really good. I am far from an expert on Japanese cinema, but when I saw The Seven Samurai for the first time, I got
Just
it.
know you're in the hands of a genius.
And so I can't quote you chapter and verse on Kurosawa or on Japanese cinema overall. I just know that what I have seen, I have admired and in some cases marveled at. What I think you need to do is find the right book or the right, go browsing online. And there's so many posts now. There's so many specialized sites.
Yeah.
Find one that's in English, conversational English,
Yeah.
not scholarly English, that seems to make sense to you. And if you find somebody who writes in a tone that you can relate to, then you can take the next few steps. And then pretty soon you'll be wanting to write about them too.
Yeah. I don't, if you're watching it and you're not enjoying something, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's a big thing, is it's okay if you don't like it or if it doesn't work for you.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain things that just don't, and that's all right. And if you're watching it and it's just not, you're not getting it, that's completely okay. There are certain genres that just don't work for some people. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of those kinds of films. Whereas there are other things that are really quite easy to digest. So if you watch early Jackie Chan, it's just, but this is the thing, it's really entertaining.
Fun.
It is incredible to watch his stunts. So it doesn't, but Jackie Chan. But that's, that's part of it. Like, it's a good time. But yeah, you don't have to force yourself. You really, really don't.
Yeah.
As I say, everybody has different tastes. And when we go to Fantastic Fest every year, Tim League, who is the co-creator with his wife of Alamo Drafthouse, and puts on Fantastic Fest, he loves Asian cinema, loves it. A lot of the films that we see there just don't work for us. In that genre. It doesn't mean they're not good. It doesn't mean they're not well made, well done, all the rest of it. It just doesn't work for us. So, I'm not going to lie and say, oh no, I thought it was brilliant just because someone else does.
Have the courage of your own conviction.
Yeah.
It's very hard when
you're allowed.
Trust your heart and your head. I mean, if the film isn't speaking to you,
it just isn't.
It just isn't.
And that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody tries to mess with you, send them to us.
That's right.
There are numerous and countless debates of what is the perfect script, Chinatown being the high favorite. What, in your opinion, are some of the most perfect scripts of all time?
Well, Casablanca is my nominee. And to me, it's the perfect script. And of course, it was not written in a conventional way. Or in a way that anyone would recommend.
Yeah.
It was written by at least 4 people, including the brothers, the Epstein brothers, and Howard Koch and Casey Robinson, who was a contract writer at Warner Brothers, who all brought their own strengths and their ideas to the basic story. But it's got all the right ingredients for me. Romance, adventure, an exotic setting, humor,
foreign intrigue,
and suspense at different times. And you really don't know how it's all going to play out. And what it has most of all, it has a point of view. It had topicality. Apparently I'll make this short. Apparently it was shot early enough in the U.S. involvement in World War II that it didn't yet come under scrutiny of the production office that was set up for guidelines for studios to do things. They wanted to have Bogart and Claude Rains on a troop ship at the end to show that, in spite of their cynicism and all of that, they were loyal, patriotic. They were going to fight for the Allies. Claude Rains had gone home to a farm in Pennsylvania or something,
right.
And they couldn't get him back to Hollywood. He couldn't get priority travel to come back to Hollywood. Ingrid Bergman had gone off and started shooting For Whom the Bell Tolls, and had shorn off her hair. They just threw up their hands and said, "We can't shoot again on this film." And because of all of that, it is the film that is. Not one person, not one director, but not a single screenwriter's.
And also there were many immigrants in that film.
Yeah.
Which actually made it something much more important.
Yeah.
Every person who speaks, who has even one line in that movie, is colorful.
Yeah.
There's not a bit player who isn't significant for that moment he or she is on screen. Anyway, that's not an answer to why it's a good screenplay, but all those ingredients help a lot.
And it's so wholesome.
And then Warner Brothers couldn't make lightning strike twice. They kept finding other things for Bogart to do. They brought back Sidney Greenstreet and Peter Lorre and reteamed them. Passage to Marseille being one example. They couldn't contrive a follow-up that had
the Maltese Balkan
that was preceded
that.
That's a great screenplay.
Yeah,
that is another great screenplay that John Huston fashioned from the Dashiell Hammett original story.
I think Italy just won.
Oh no!
I think Italy just won.
No! No!
I think Italy won, guys. Sorry, I think Italy won.
I hope people aren't getting their news from our.
Yes, we think.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Italy wins.
Okay.
Womp womp.
Get over it.
Sorry, Italy.
Get
wins.
over it.
Oh man, my father-in-law is going to be livid. Yeah, no, there's a lot of there are a lot of those. Remember as well though that a script is incredibly important, but also it then has to all come together. Because you can read a fantastic script, but then you have to have the right people saying those words and the right editor and the right director and everything to bring it to life.
We watched, we didn't intend to, we turned on TCM a week ago Saturday, and they were showing Shadow of a Doubt, which Hitchcock named more than once as his favorite of his own movies. It's the one about Uncle Charlie, played by Joseph Cotton, who turns out to be not the warm, cuddly character his niece, Teresa Wright, has always admired and loved. Anyway, midway through that film, I said to Alice, you could hand that script to a less talented director and it would be good, but it wouldn't be great the way this film is.
Yeah.
Hitchcock's staging and compositions and ideas, visual ideas.
It all has to come together. This is a long one I'm going to try to shorten.
Right.
Warner Brothers Merry Melody cartoons start with their credits showing a blue ribbon and an Oscar. Is the blue ribbon an award?
It was.
Yeah. If so, who awarded it? I know Box Office Magazine selected a film each month for its Blue Ribbon Award. Blah blah blah. But see, is that?
You have some Box Office Magazine.
There you go. Yeah. See, you nailed it. You already knew. You knew your own answer. It is that. And he's saying they couldn't find any references. That is what the Blue Ribbon is. If you wanted to introduce someone to Laurel and Hardy, which shorts or features would you start with?
I would start with the silent film Big Business, which is where they're trying to sell Christmas trees in the middle of summer in Los Angeles. and the house where they do it is still standing in Culver City or near Culver City. And then I would show the one that earned them an Academy Award, The Music Box.
Which is so good.
Which is technically a 3-reeler as opposed to a 2-reeler. And it's just so good. You know, and it's because with Laurel and Hardy, it's about the characters. It's not just the gags. People who do compilations on them and only focus on getting the gags are missing the story.
Yeah.
The story is that you come to know Stan and Ollie as if they were real people, and their characters are so clearly delineated, and that's what makes their films so wonderful and so easy to watch over and over again.
Will you be going to the Buster Keaton Film Festival in, is it Iola, Kansas?
Iola.
This late September.
No, and I've read.
In theory, we will be at Fantastic Fest.
And tell you,
but we'll see. But that's a different time of year.
This
would be the same
it's
time.
Labor Day.
No, Mom, it's late September is not Telluride.
Oh, no. Okay, I was just saying.
Yeah. No. Well, again, fingers crossed, we'll be in Telluride at the beginning of September. That happens over Labor Day weekend. But no, we will not. Is the answer. Jerry, you are asking this. I appreciate your determination. The movie Marty was altered about 10 years ago to include an extra scene of the young woman telling her parents about the date. This edition completely ruins the original cut, which has a wonderful, joyous buildup of Marty ecstatic after meeting her, culminating in him hitting a road sign as an expression of pure happiness.
Yeah.
As it turns out, as it is now, the extra scene ruins the flow. This version is the only one available. To me, this is a crime against great film. The scene was cut for a reason, and this is no director's cut. What can we do? Yell at it.
I don't know. It seems to me that she's waiting for the phone.
The only version I know is the one that you described. I was too young. I was alive in 1956, but I was too young to see a film like Marty. So I've only come to it in relatively recent times. And that's the version that I know. So I can't.
Well, yeah. I mean, she's talking to her parents.
Comment.
I mean, they know she's waiting for the call. And they're trying to, they're trying not to be unkind to her in any way.
If you're trying to find a different copy, honestly, the internet is your best source because people will burn DVDs, burn copies of stuff, because otherwise, if the only technically real version is the one that you're talking about, then it could be useful to find one of these film websites and see if somebody's selling the original. That's kind of the only way around it.
And your court of last appeal is Amazon, which just bought MGM, which owns those United Artists movies of the 50s and 60s.
Godspeed. But I understand when something changes, it can be very frustrating. Have you listened to Plot Thickens, the new podcast? I don't think so.
Not the new. You're listening to the book, The Devil's Candy.
Oh yeah,
I'm talking about TCM.
No. I know, which also is about the same subject.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Zachary's asking, have you listened to the new season of TCM's podcast series, The Plot Thickens, on Bonfire of the Vanities, entitled The Devil's Candy by Julie Salomon? If so, what was your take on it?
I have not heard the TCM podcast because Alice happens to be listening to the original book by Julie Salomon.
Yeah.
And I'm in and out of the car with her, so I hear snippets of it.
What do you think of it so far, Mom?
I think it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And, in itself, that could be a movie. Just the making of it can be a movie because how many things can go wrong? You do step away thinking it's really not Brian De Palma's fault. Things occurred. Things happened. I mean, he didn't even pick the stars. Tom Hanks was already involved when De Palma was brought on. Things like and I don't think Tom Hanks was right for that. Frankly, that's my little
casting or miscasting. That's another topic.
A huge topic, and tricky. And then also trying to figure out who you would put in there.
Yes, always.
Who could
one of the ones that I'm sorry if I'm repeating this, but one of the ones that really fascinates me because it came so close to happening was Claudette Colbert was going to play Margot Channing in All About Eve. And until several weeks before shooting began, when she hurt her back, if I'm remembering correctly. And so Joseph L. Mankiewicz had to recast, and I'm sure in conjunction with Daryl Zanuck, who was producing the movie for Fox, came up with the idea of Bette Davis. I mean, a month earlier, it wouldn't have been Betty Davis.
Yeah.
And that incredible dress that Edith had designed for her might not have worked on Claudette Colbert's body. It's just so I finally got to ask that question to Mr. Mankiewicz, who came out here and did an evening at the Directors Guild some years ago. And I said, how would it have been different in your eyes? He said, where Claudette used a rapier, Betty might have used a club in some cases, but it was great. He's not questioning the success of that film.
Yeah, that's funny. Many movies and television shows are now being made in Canada. Is anyone trying to bring those movies and television shows back to the United States? Many states are now using tax incentives to try and bring movies back. Here's the thing. So everything, when I was growing up, everything was shot in New Zealand and Canada. And I mean everything, New Zealand and Canada. Then Louisiana was one of the first to get onto this, and South Carolina too.
It was all based on
Michigan
unions, union free.
Yeah,
I mean,
they started.
It started with Runaway Production. Began with rights to work states, and the lack of unions. But as unions built up in some of these production hubs, that didn't hold true anymore. Yeah. So that's when the states, in a competitive way, began issuing tax credits, 30 to 35%. Your dollar would get you back 30 to 35 cents every dollar you spent. And I've spoken to some producers who, I spoke to Jennifer Lawrence on an airplane, and we were both going to Atlanta. And I said, I'm here for Turner Classic Movies. Yeah. What are you doing? And she said, I'm shooting a movie. She says, I've never shot a movie in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah. Victoria's saying Georgia. Yes. So that came later. So initially it was Louisiana and some of the other southern states. And that's why almost every then WB show, so Dawson's Creek and stuff like that, they were all shot there.
North Carolina as well.
Yes. They were all shot over there. Then slowly but surely
as well.
Well, that was because that's where the home of Nickelodeon was. And you had Mickey Mouse Club out of there. So you had a lot of kids entertainment was coming out of Florida. So then other states started to sort of get into this. And yes, Utah. So all of the High School Musical movies were filmed in Utah. Utah became a popular one for that. Also because it was easy to get from Utah back to LA. It was an easy commute, and that was something else people liked. Georgia has become a massive hub through the years. Now it is gigantic. Obviously, Tyler Perry is there, but a lot of the Marvel movies shoot there. Yes. It's constant.
And when you see that Georgia Peach logo,
that is also another write-off.
Yeah. That's right.
When you see that I Heart New York at the end of the film, if you're like us and you stay to the end of the credits, you see that I Heart New York, that's another write-off. Everything you're seeing is for a reason. Yeah. Every single thing you're seeing is for a reason. It's
or to put it another way, follow the money.
That's it. You read a really interesting article. Do you remember this when you were in Atlanta and it broke down?
Oh yeah,
all the places.
Atlanta Magazine showed how they did it as a graph, like a chart that. Where the money literally goes when a movie comes to town. They need to use dry cleaners. Their vehicles need to fill up gas.
Yep. Certain restaurants,
food,
hardware supplies.
It's good for everybody. It's as simple as that.
Talk about trickle down. I mean,
Victoria says, I grew up on Spawn Ranch. Yeah. There are these certain locations. So it's really interesting that now Canada has become so popular again. Now, in part, it's popular because it's where they shoot things like Riverdale and a number of those kinds of shows. And part of why it's easier for them, yes, it is more affordable. Vancouver and even Toronto can be more affordable because also remember that you're moving all of these people somewhere for months on end. But it's also just a quieter place to be. It's a more pleasant place for a lot of these actors and actresses to be, which is a factor. But no, in terms of things moving around, to be honest, they're sort of everywhere.
Well, I mean, you should remember that the city of Los Angeles threw a lot of things in the way, and different producers said, well, screw you, we'll go elsewhere.
Yeah.
That was really how it started.
Yeah.
You know, the taxes, the unions, everything.
California does have, finally, they didn't for many years, they now do have a fund, but it's done by lottery.
Yeah.
If you submit your film and you win the production lottery for $100 grand, $500 grand, whatever it may be, then you've lucked out and you're sitting pretty.
But it is really interesting to sort of see over time where different things move around to.
And once they're there, they're happy.
Yeah.
You know.
And yeah, I mean, that's the other piece is remember that if you have a whole team, certainly if you're a television show and you have things down to a science, but even beyond that, it's, we have friends who travel all over working on different projects. And one of my best friends has just gotten to Pittsburgh where she has to put together a team to make a movie. And unfortunately, right where she is, there aren't a lot of people that she knows in production. Her husband, on the other hand, is in New Jersey where they've shot a lot and they have a whole crew ready to go. So, and that's the other thing too, is that certain states require you to hire a certain number of locals.
Which makes sense.
Which makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't you? So there too, you have to figure out, okay, how are we going to work this in? Is it going to be extras? Is it going to be, the PAs? How are we going to satisfy this requirement? So again, it's all follow the money.
And it all started with greed, in Los Angeles. That's really what did it. I have a friend who did many, many TV movies.
Yeah. And
they were giving him grief. He said, "Oh, okay, I'll go. I'll go here. All
right, I'll go somewhere else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Screw you. I don't need this."
It's it's a whole thing, and it is fascinating. Anyway, amazingly enough, it's 3:10.
Amazing.
Where do the time go?
Didn't get to show off any collectibles today. We'll make up for that next week.
Next week. Well, we showed off your book, and
that's a collectible.
The most exciting thing.
That's an instant collectible.
Your hedge against inflation in the years to come.
Anyway, thank you as always for joining us. We really appreciate you guys spending your Sundays with us here.
And thank you on Jesse's behalf for all your kind words and messages.
Yep.
Yeah.
This will be a cinephile covered in glitter. That's the best way to describe what's going on. But yeah, everyone, please be safe. We will see you next Sunday, same time, same place, same giant ice cream cone. Yes. And as always, if you have questions, you can always send them in, and we're happy to answer.
And Cass Warner, where are you?
Yeah, Cass Warner, come back.
Come on, Cass.
Everybody be safe and take good care.
God bless.
Bye-bye, folks.
Bye-bye.